The champagne in our plastic cups was still fizzing when Don cornered me in the hallway. He had frosting on his tie from the lopsided Costco cake, and the banner behind him, Historic Launch in Comic Sans, tilted like it might give up and fall. "Hey, quick thing," he said, voice casual, as if he were warning me the coffee filters were out. "No bonus for you this year, policy reasons." He clapped my shoulder and grinned like I'd thank him for the bruise. For a second, the hallway went underwater. I heard the party as static, high fives, selfies, someone practicing karaoke bravado for later. My dashboards had stayed green through our first real stress test, 0 downtime, clean as glass. We'd just survived a storm. Then this. I nodded once. Got it. No questions. No scene. I walked back to my desk through the sugar buzz, sat, and unlocked a folder I never told anyone about. A private drawer with insurance, emails, Slack threads, diagrams, and at the bottom, the contract. Our analytics license. 2 years ago, I'd been the only one on that call with the vendor. Don pawned off the review because legalese makes my head hurt. I'd pushed and argued and outlasted lunch to wedge in a sentence, dense as rebar. If the designated technical lead, Addendum A, Kate Morrison, is placed in a non-compensated employment status for any period exceeding 72 hours, this license is null and void, and associated access may be terminated without notice. It hadn't been vanity, it was survival. Rooms like ours forget people like me unless our names are welded into the load-bearing beams. I highlighted the clause and opened a new email to legal. Subject, FYI. Potential issue. Body. Looping you in on the analytics license. Appendix C. There may be compliance implications tied to compensation structure. Attaching for review. No. Italics. No bold, no threats. The PDF carried its own teeth. From my chair, I could see Rebecca, our lead counsel, scrolling her phone as she crossed the hall. She stopped mid-step like she'd hit a glass wall. Scrolled again. Set her folder on a cubicle edge to steady herself. Then she went straight for Don's door and pushed in without knocking. I heard 4 words, sharp as a scalpel. "Please, tell me you paid her." The laughter outside rolled on. HR was still rehearsing karaoke. Sales was still congratulating itself for blowing past targets with numbers my system produced. Inside that office, the ground moved. I didn't pace. I exported logs. By late afternoon, the isolation started. The stand-up evaporated from my calendar. My DevOps channel returned a red banner. "You no longer have access to this workspace." Jira. Tickets reassigned themselves to other names like magic tricks. I made tea. Then I built a spreadsheet mapping every dependency my work fed. Daily revenue to the CFO, churn to product, pipeline to sales, marketing's KPIs, supply chain's forecasting. Cron jobs I'd written during a blizzard while Don worked from home. I encrypted the map and wrote insurance on the drive. Kevin from engineering leaned on my cube with a forced smile. Random question. Did anyone confirm vendor clauses with legal? Something in an appendix? I shrugged. Not sure. Why? He scratched his neck. Rebecca's been digging. Looks serious. I remembered her whisper. Please tell me you paid her, and nodded like this was all normal weather. He drifted away. At 4 p.m., Rebecca pulled people into conference room. See, no subject line, no pre-read, just shoulder taps. I wasn't invited, but Glass is generous. She sat at the head composed as a winter lake. Don faced her, flushed, twirling a pen like an anxious metronome. HR chewed gum. A junior analyst. Looked like he might fold into the carpet. Even from 20 feet, I recognized the screen's headline. The clause, highlighted. The one I'd sent. When the meeting ended, Don barreled out red-faced and whisper-shouting into his headset. HR followed, chewing faster. Rebecca lingered, just long enough to type something, closed her laptop, and left without looking at me. She didn't need to. The first sign wasn't a siren. It was an absence. The CFO's 7 a.m. report didn't arrive. No bounce, no error. Just silence where numbers live. A junior analyst asked, "Are dashboards down or am I doing something wrong?" Then 5 more people asked in rooms I no longer saw. Product couldn't load churn. Sales couldn't refresh pipeline. Marketing sent screenshots of empty tiles like crime scene photos. DevOps swore there were no deploys, no alarms. Everything looked fine, which is sometimes the worst sign of all. Rebecca's email landed lasers only, CCing signatures that closed doors. Confirm current compensation alignment for designated technical lead per Appendix C to maintain license compliance. Don replied with foam, policy, timing, review window. Rebecca answered with the signature page and one sentence. Non-compensated status triggers termination of license access. The temperature dropped 10 degrees while the air kept pretending to be warm. I logged into the vendor portal and checked the heartbeat. The last authorized handshake matched my systems. Then a run of red, token rejected, license context invalid, not a glitch, a judgment. A message arrived from the address. No one learns until they have to. Vendor compliance. Plain text, no adjectives, license status, non-compliant, per Appendix C, access suspended pending remediation by designated account lead. The designated account lead was me. Slack turned into a graveyard of unanswered questions. Phones rang into the void. Someone jogged to the server room like cardio could negotiate contract law. Conference room C filled again. CFO gray-faced, VP sales with her head in her hands, HR flipping to the wrong page, Rebecca at the head, cool and surgical. Don performed confidence for an audience that had stopped buying tickets. The CEO walked in with the look of a man who came for cake and found an audit. He didn't sit. He looked at Rebecca. She pointed to a highlighted line. He asked a question with his hands. She answered with her eyes. You learn a lot about an org when lawyers stop using adjectives. I went back to my desk and made myself useful to the only person who would appreciate it later. Future me. Dependency maps exported. Cron notes turned into English a stranger could follow. Personal test keys wiped from sandboxes. Housekeeping, not arson. HR sent a kid named Tyler to my desk with a paper form like a live grenade. He was sweating through his shirt. Don was wondering if you could jot down some transition notes, just so the team can keep momentum. Tyler, I said evenly, I can't document a system you no longer have legal access to. His mouth opened and closed. He retreated as if the carpet had turned to ice. Rebecca sent another email, this time wider, crisp as a gavel. Retroactive. Adjustments do not resolve breach. Disclosure preparation has begun. Around noon, a thin red banner appeared across executive dashboards. License unrecognized. Contact account holder. Someone somewhere finally understood that firing me wouldn't put air back in the lungs. Value isn't loud. It's the hum you stop hearing until it's gone. I packed my bag at 5. Laptop, charger, the drive labeled insurance. My plants could wait. They knew how to ration light. At the elevator, my phone lit up with an unknown number that bypassed assistants and calendars. I let it ring twice so I could hear the building's hum through the silence. Then, Kate, the CEO said, voice stripped of all hands polish, we need to talk. About what? I asked, like I didn't already know. The system. No spin. It's down. The vendor says it's a licensing issue. Rebecca tells me you're critical. Critical. The word sat between us like a lever. What will it take to resolve this? He asked. No apology, just a hand searching for a switch. I flagged the issue, I said. 30 minutes after Don told me I wasn't getting a bonus. He exhaled like he'd been holding a live grenade. That was a mistake. We'll fix it. Tell me what you need. I opened a folder named They're Going to Beg. Inside was a PDF my attorney and I had drafted 3 weeks earlier, insurance for a launch that would test more than servers. I'll send something, I said. You'll have 24 hours. We don't have 24 hours, he said. Investors are already asking questions. Then you'd better move quickly, I said, and hung up. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt the weight of control slide back into my hands, quiet and exact. Their counteroffer arrived at dawn. The withheld bonus, a note of appreciation, vague assurances about future recognition. I read it twice, closed it, and forwarded my original proposal. Immediate wire of unpaid bonus plus 40% breach. Penalty. Buyout of the clause by outside counsel, mid-six figures. Written acknowledgement of my work to be read at the next all-hands offer window, 24 hours. Terms non-negotiable. They tested me with another counter. Half the penalty, no buyout, a promise of a spotlight at some town hall. I responded with one line, per attached, terms are non-negotiable. Silence thickened. Then Rebecca called. Please confirm wiring instructions, she said. No apology, no flattery, just movement. Funds hit first. The withheld bonus and the penalty, same day, no dithering. I watched the ACH timestamps land like small meteor strikes. An amendment. Draft followed from their outside counsel to execute the buyout. I uploaded proof of compensation to the vendor portal with the executed amendment. Status restored. Please reinstate per Section 7D, I wrote to the compliance address that had shut the door. 2 minutes later, license recognized. Services resuming. No confetti. The hum returned to a building that had forgotten what it sounded like. The CEO called again. We should have paid you, he said. It sounded like admitting gravity. We'll honor your proposal in full. About the statement, would you